Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
CODA is a new, well, not a new movie, but it's a movie that's nominated for Best Picture for the 2021 Academy Awards, or is it 2022? I don't know exactly how they title that, but it is nominated, and it's a movie that I was going to watch when it first came out, probably like 6 months ago. I never got around to it. It's available. It's an exclusive Apple TV Plus film, and I recently watched it because I'm trying to go through the movies that are nominated for Best Picture that I haven't seen, so I can, kind of accurately be disgusted or approve of whoever ends up winning. Not that it matters, but it would be nice for it. It feels good to my ego to have the validation of an Academy Award being given to a film that I also enjoyed. And I absolutely love this movie. I don't know if it would have necessarily made my top 5 list of last year, but it could have, because there is a lot of heart to this film. It is a lot of fun. CODA standing for Children of Deaf Adults, which is the majority of this film is about this family who is 3 of the members of the family are deaf and speak in sign language, and the 3rd member, played by Amelia Jones, is able to hear. She is the youngest, and she is basically the translator for the film. Very similar to what it would be like for, a lot of people who grew up, a lot of my friends who grew up in the United States, whose parents came from another country. Generally, the kids of parents from another country become the translators. They become the connection with the rest of the world, with their ability to translate what their parents understand to what the rest of us understand. So a lot of similarities there. It also just shows the reality of what it's like growing up in a deaf household, around deaf people, where noise is not a concern whatsoever. The family in this movie, they're fishing family, the generations of fishermen, and despite the fact that the dad and the son are both deaf, the daughter goes with them on these fishing trips to help translate and also be the ears for them if the Coast Guard were to call in or not. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of humor, this movie, as well, because I absolutely love all of these characters. There is no real antagonist to this movie, right? It's about this girl, other than life itself. It's about this girl who's grew up in this family, been the translator for this family, and because of a crush in school, in high school, she decides to sign up for choir class. Because she sings. She's able to sing freely because her family, growing up, can't hear her. So it's something that she's been able to do that her parents can't even understand on a level. They can't appreciate, let's say. Not necessarily understand, but they can't appreciate what she does. It's basically, there's even a line in this movie of, it would be like if the family was blind and the daughter became an artist, became a painter. It's just something that they're not able to appreciate on the level that everybody else is able to appreciate. And because of that, it forms a fork in the road for this character, Ruby Rossi, right? Because on one hand, her family is dealing with the ever-changing landscape of being a fisherman and how they're being squeezed out and making less and less money, and regulations are overwhelming them. And it's making it more and more difficult to make a living doing this thing that they've done for generations in their family. And she being a big part of that, their ability to function as a business. And then also this idea, this new potential possibility of her following her singing, following this passion she has that is so foreign to her parents, so foreign to her entire family. And that's where a lot of the drama comes from. A drama comes from this character trying to please everybody. And the reality of when you try to please everybody, you fail everybody, because you can't. You can't be there for everybody at all times. It's just impossible. The parents of this film, amazing. They're funny. They're super in love with each other. To the point, I mean, early on in this film, there's a doctor scene where they both have jock itch, and they're told that they can't have sex for a couple weeks, and the daughter, kind of plays a joke on them, saying that they can never have sex again. But even 2 weeks was too much, because the husband is so desperately in love with his wife, played by Marlene Matlin. Everybody's great in this. The signing, the fact that there's so much attitude and beauty in the signing of them, the way that they communicate with each other, and the emotions that they communicate with each other. Like even in sign language, emotion and like facial, like there's so much like variations of and tones that are expressed in the exact same way as your standard verbal language as there is with sign language. And that is beautiful. And also the character, not only is she kind of having to decide between these two life paths, but also the fact that the second path, her finally kind of pursuing this idea of being a singer, was inspired by this crush that she has. So there's also this love interest that's going on. So it's like her first time really coming into her own as a person outside of her family, when she, growing up, felt like the outsider because she was the only member of the family who was different than them, where they were all kind of on the same page, and she was always kind of the outcast who was there to translate, almost like the employee of the family. Kind of. I mean, there's still a lot of love there. It's not like they treated her bad. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF, that stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out, browse the entire collection, and when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10%. As a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. So it's great. It's a great story, coming of age. There's a great scene where her music teacher asks her to describe how it feels when she sings. And in that moment, she could only express her feelings using sign language, which is beautiful, right? It's like gets to the core of how she speaks her truth, is more so, and honesty is more so through sign language than through this second language that she's basically learned. She, I would imagine, learned sign language first from her parents, and then later on, English would be her second language. So it's telling that type of a story that you could have this same movie be about, some, Mexican immigrants that came to this country, and the parents speak Spanish only, and then the younger daughter, she learned English and she translates, which is a common story that happens all of the time with kids who are born into a family that's like a first generation, and English is their second language. They become like the interpreter for the family. So it could easily have been a movie like that. But we've seen that. There's plenty of movies and TV. It's like a common thing because it's a common thing in reality. But to put a twist on it and make it highlight an aspect of our society that doesn't necessarily get the shine that all the other aspects are, but definitely more inclusion going on now than ever. You had the movie Sound of Metal, which dealt with hearing loss in a beautiful way. And then you have this, where it's like the entire movie is wrapped around, is encompassed by the fact that there is this divide. So when she describes how singing makes her feel, she goes straight to the science. It's beautiful. And her teacher believes in her. Her teacher sees potential. He sees what she could be, right? There's always those few, like, I remember in high school when I fell in love with art, all of my art teachers loved me. They believed in me. And my mom, who was at one point in her life an artist, who probably gave away her dreams of becoming an artist when she had a kid and got married, and had no desire for me to follow in those footsteps. I had to have teachers try to convince my mom to let me go to art school, which in the end never panned out. But something that I personally can relate to in this movie, where you have that teacher, and in this movie he's giving her extra, he's meeting with her, giving her extra time for him to help her prepare for an audition that would allow her to go to college, to get a scholarship to go to college to study singing. So it's always great having, when you have like that teacher. Because it only takes one great teacher to really help inspire and motivate somebody that would never have realized their potential. And we have that in this teacher in this movie. And parents that just can't relate. Aside from gangster rap, which the dad loves because of the bass. You know, you can feel the bass. There's a scene where the parents pick the daughter up from school in their pickup truck, and the truck has this amazing sound system, and they're just blasting gangster rap. And he loves it because he can feel it. But then there's the scene where there's this performance that happens at the end of the movie, and the parents and the brother are in the audience, and they are just watching people on a stage moving their mouths, kind of dancing. Like, it is a show that is not entertaining if you can't hear it. But in that performance, there's a moment where the audio drops down, and you're, as the audience, experiencing that performance, that concert, from the perspective of the dad, and the dad looking around to the other audience members, people in the audience that are vibing with the music, that are getting emotional from listening to the music. Like, it's a thing where the parents have to have faith in their kid that she's going to follow the right path, which I'm sure is similar even in normal family situations, where a kid getting out of high school, going on their own path, parents being very concerned and worried and all of that. You know, not wanting their kid to be an artist. Oh, God forbid a kid becomes an artist. Such a hard life. Why would you choose that? It's because life isn't about income. shouldn't be about income, despite the fact that we live in a capitalist society. It's about doing the thing that you're drawn to do, and she is drawn to sing. She is passionate about music and singing. But her parents just have to have basically blind faith. They have to have death faith. You know? I mean, they're on one hand worried that maybe she's not good. You know, they don't want their daughter to be humiliated. Be like go on American Idol and get booed off the stage type of thing. But in that moment where the dad's looking around at all the people, at how the music that his daughter is singing, like, it's an emotional scene because you see, like, for the first time, he understands. And even after that, there's a scene where they're sitting outside, the dad and the daughter, and he asks her what the song is about that she sang. And she tells him what it's about, and then he asks her to sing for him. And in that moment, he goes and, like, puts his hands on her throat to feel the vibrations, similarly to his rap music. He can feel the vibrations in her throat. And it's like, you want to talk about getting emotional. Like, this loving family already. And seeing, by way of the ways that they can, in unconventional ways, seeing the beauty that their daughter is creating. And in that, willing to support her. Despite the fact that it's going to make their life more difficult now that their translator is no longer going to be around. And it's a beautiful scene when he's, like, touching his daughter's throat to feel her sing is beautiful. Tears to my eyes. A beautiful scene. I cried a lot, kind of. I got choked up. Just listening to people sing, like, well, is very emotional. There's, like, a scene in this also that reminds me of Sister Act, where where there's an aspect in Sister Act where she's the lead of the choir, and there's this one person in the choir, this, like, meek little lady, woman that's, like, sings very soft, and Whoopi Goldberg's character has to show her how to just let go and open up. And there's a very similar type of scene in this where Ruby Rossi's teacher is forcing her to let go and sing from her soul instead of trying to sound pretty. It's a very similar scene, done a little bit better in this movie, obviously, because it's just a better movie overall. But it's kind of an idea and a mentality that a performer, that a singer, that an artist, that anybody that wants to be a creative person needs to understand is to let go. To not focus on trying to do a certain thing in a certain way because you think it's to let go and let, like, your natural abilities go. Finding your true voice instead of trying to impersonate people that you think you should sound like. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that there's those scenes in these movies where it's like the character needs to, you know, that's like one of their setbacks is the fact that they're not being completely honest with their creative abilities and not letting those abilities shine. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. There's also a lot of humor in this movie. I mean, the family talking shit. There's the opening scene where, not opening scene, but like this scene where they're all kind of, it's dinner's about to get served. You got the dad on the barbecue. You got the mom setting the table. You have the brother at the dinner table. You have Ruby trying to do her homework. Meanwhile, all of this noise is going on. You got the dad scraping the fuck out of the grill. You got the brother swiping on Tinder with his phone notifications blinking and blanking, making all these noise. You got the mom banging like plates on the table, because like it's also like and then they sit down at dinner and you got like the dad farting and making a funny joke about why God made farts smell is so that deaf people can enjoy them too. It's like you really understand the reality that exists in a family or around people that can't hear, that don't have that sense, which makes complete sense. You know, if you're not concerned, if you've never heard anything, there's a scene where the parents are having sex and it's just, you know, that you just don't, there's no concern of the noise you're making because you've never heard it and you can't hear it. So you can't be, there's not that embarrassment. There's not that feeling that people would get who's like, you know, trying, it's like, it's a foreign thing. And the hilarity of the humor that's in it, part of it is like a lot of the heart, just like really great characters and like loving characters. Is there's this like meeting that all the fishermen are having with like the head honchos or whatever, right? This like town hall meeting. And Ruby shows up late because she's trying to please everybody. She's trying to show up for these special classes that her teacher's giving her to prepare, but then also trying to help her family with the business. She shows up late and she's like translating, and her dad's like fed up with it. Because it's getting to the point where they can't even afford, they're not going to make any money. Like all the money they would make, which is keeps getting cut lower and lower, is just not even, it's not even going to be worth it to go out and fish. Despite the fact that fishing's been in their family for generations. And there's this great scene where she's got to be the translator, so he stands up and he tells them off. And you have the daughter telling him to suck her dick, which is hilarious. It is just such a fun, hilarious scene where she has probably been in that situation 100 times, where it's like she has to say the thing that, which I'm sure a lot of translators have to deal with. So that's funny too. That was a funny scene. That whole back and forth, and how like the family wants to start like a co-op for the fishermen to sell their products directly. And because of that new thing, that also kind of widens that fork, where it's like she's going to have more responsibilities with her family's business. Meanwhile, she has to spend more time with singing and potentially leave to sing. And meanwhile, the brother is like, feels overlooked because he wants to make it work out for the family. The family was functioning perfectly fine before she was born, and he feels like he's been shut out because he doesn't have the ability to translate for him, that his family doesn't feel that he could be of help to help them do this thing. So there's also that kind of conflict between the two siblings. But a lot of this movie is also about learning to let go. Not only just letting go as a performer, letting go of all of the things that make you want to try and sound a specific way instead of just letting your natural voice come through, but also letting go of the past, letting go of the person you were. I mean, that's a big part of coming-of-age stories anyway. You have Ruby Rose having to let go of her family, being there for her family, but also it's obviously a big thing for her family to let go of her, to let go of the person that they have relied on so much for so many years, and to allow her to live her own life. So I loved it. I really loved this movie. I thought it was great. Would it have made my top 5 of last year? Maybe. I really did enjoy it. I really did. Do I think it would? I think it's similar to like Belfast. I think Belfast is a better movie than this. But they similarly have a lot of heart. There's a lot of heart. Both are kind of family drama movies with comedic moments. I just think Belfast was a much more beautifully photographed film. But similarly with a lot of heart, a lot of like family stuff, a lot of love. So I could see it. I would far prefer this movie to win than something like, what is it, The Power of the Dog? Which was a fine movie. I thought it was, top to bottom, a solid film. But did it do anything? Did it make me feel something? Nah. I mean, not to the point where I'm like, yes, this is an amazing piece of storytelling. I don't get why that movie gets shit on at all. I don't think that is. I think it's a great movie. I think it deserves on some level to be nominated, but I don't. I could see that winning though. I don't know. Something about it makes me feel like Power of the Dog is going to win. But this one I still love, and it's great to have the representation of what it's like for a deaf family to have to exist and be, and that's always great to see new characters, new perspectives on screen. So I appreciate that quite a bit. And just a beautiful movie, and I mean the singing aspects. I mean I choked up multiple times throughout this movie. So yeah, highly recommend checking it out. It's on Apple TV Plus. I talked about The After Party earlier this week, a great show that's on Apple TV Plus. Obviously, Ted Lasso is on there. For All Mankind is an amazing show. There's a lot of solid stuff over on Apple TV Plus. So if you're looking to at least check this movie out, a free trial, you could have a busy week binging all the great stuff that's over there. But yeah, check it out. CODA. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.